The following show features stunts and hot dabs performed either by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. Accordingly, Hot Dabs Podcast and Rosin Evolution must insist that no one attempt to recreate or reenact any stunt or activity or hot dab performed on this show.
Everybody, welcome back to the Hot Dabs Podcast, live on location. Today we have a very special guest. We are joined by Lem, founder of Compassionate Heart and Lempire, here at the home of the Lem himself, here in the heart of Mendocino County, Ukiah. Thanks for having us, dude.
All right, welcome.
We've been coming to this dispensary for years. When Small Batch Sam and myself first moved to California, we were addicted to smoking Zkittlez. And a lot of people know that we would come to the Compassionate Heart and spend all of our paychecks. It got to the point where we were actually spending more on Zkittlez here than we were on our rent. And it actually turned into us starting our company. So today, we're going to get a little bit of the background behind who Lem is, how he started this enterprise, and some of the genetic programs that they work on. Because everybody knows we love to run their genetics, including this Mysteries, aka the 4Z. This man is already on to the 6Z, so we'll let you tell the story. But first, Lem, I think we need to start back at the beginning. Go back, where do you originate from, and how did this all get started?
Well, my first massive exposure to cannabis was probably around 12, 13 years old. I had like grand mal seizures, and I realized I could get high and not have seizures, so I just got drawn to the culture. And I was definitely already into the Grateful Dead music at that point. And they just went hand in hand, honestly, just delved right in. And that was pretty much, Grateful Dead was pretty much the first cannabis market. Predecessed all this stuff that's going on now.
And where were you when you were getting into this? Was this on the West Coast?
I was on the East Coast.
You're on the East Coast?
I was in Connecticut.
So just like a lot of the best brands that have emerged in California, a lot of them actually had their roots set in the East Coast, but then had dreams to come out here. What was it that actually started your journey from the East Coast to the West?
Traveling around, we realized we could get like kind bud on the daily in Colorado, and that's where like my friends and I basically moved. We all moved to Boulder. And that was like the first migration. A bunch of little cliques from our high school and other people's high schools or from Dead Tour. We were all just living and growing indoor weed in Boulder in different areas. So we spent 10 years there growing kind bud. And that was kind of like the heart, or the center, the core.
For people that don't know what kind bud is, because we're in a new generation, I grew up with that, Beaster's kind bud. Can you tell us, what is kind bud?
Kind bud was, if you take it back, like even before, like back to the 80s, let's say, you could score dime bags in the street or something. That would be like Mexican. And there was perhaps Colombian,
like the Acapulco
or Thai,
Gold.
Depending on how dialed you were, or Thai stick. But basically, kind bud was just like good kind bud, whether it was from California outdoor or someone's local indoor, just what we called the good.
Back then, like you mentioned, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't good. There was the Mexican swag, the brickweed that would come up. So was it hard when you would come across that kind bud to keep it in rotation? Is it something that you would pick up once or twice a year and then be gone? Or is it something that you would just chase down as long as you could?
I mean, if you're traveling with the Dead, you could score kind bud on the daily. That was part of the draw for sure. But you'd get back home and be working, and we would smoke a lot of sativas that we would get either from Jamaicans or like, Mexican dime bags of Mexican in the street. But honestly, the experience was never negative for me, man. This stuff would make you laugh for hours, You'd be laughing for like an hour straight. It was just a good sativa high. It was creeper. I remember just like laughing harder than I'd ever laughed smoking anything else.
How do you compare the cannabis that you used to consume back then to today? Some people say that they feel like you can't get the same high, but then other people would just attribute it to the nostalgia that you had as a kid, that you kind of always are searching to try to get back. Do you think there's a difference in the cannabis today?
Well, it's hard, right? You're younger, you had more taste buds, you're reminiscing, everything was better, right? But Yeah, to me, like there was less nutrients, so you didn't have a lot of nutrient companies. People were growing more naturally. You had to hide it a little bit more, so you weren't dragging newts out in the middle of the woods somewhere. You're just putting a seed in the ground or having a couple plants. I think just like you guys run, smaller batch is higher quality always. Anytime you're stepping it up, as most of us have in Mendo, when you go from 100 pounds to 1,000 pounds, you know, whether you like it or not, you're going to lose a little bit in quality. Even some of the biggest operations that are succeeding are a bunch of little operations all put together. And so, like, I think small batch, better quality. But it's hard to say, though, because with testing and the way we forwarded the plant, we have some crazy genetics going on right now.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy genetics, we've already mentioned it once, but in addition to being vertically integrated dispensary here in Ukiah, you're also a geneticist. And we've worked with your genetics in the past. Like we just mentioned, this is a Mystery Z. This is a coin phenotype from the 4Z pack. The 4Z is a Dirty Z, ZOZ, correct?
Yep.
And Zkittlez kind of is in the notoriety has kind of formed out of Mendocino because this is kind of the ground zero.
Yeah, Leggett,
Yeah,
Mendocino.
and from there's been a lot of controversy about, you know, who deserves the credit for it. But through the years, people have kept the cut going. Can you give us a little bit of background? We'll get back to your journey, but since we're smoking it right now, give us a little bit of background on what this 4Z is. How did you come across the cuts to make it?
The 4Z is across, you know, the Dirty Zkittlez, that's the backbone of that, is the Pakistani citron hash plant that we got in '87 from Carl from the Super Sativa Seed Lovers Club.
And you got seed stock?
Yep, we got seed stock from those guys. We have new old stock that we recently popped from them and Sensi Seed Bank, just looking for those old school skunks.
So you just mentioned you had it in the 80s. Did you keep it until recently before you popped them?
Oh yeah, man, we shepherded that original clone the whole time. And we were running the Lem, and we crossed it with the original Zkittlez, and that's how we got the Dirty, which is basically the backbone of that 4Zs. But I gotta say that 4Z is a little brighter, a little quicker, a little louder. It doesn't oxidize like some of those Zkittlez crosses tend to. And you can see by the rosin, man, it's just a nice, it's like not too wet, but it still has enough THCA. It's not exactly malleable. But
it's a good balance for sure.
Perfect, man.
Because the straight Zkittlez, like you just mentioned, it can the oxidation of it can hit quick, and it can affect the color and also the terpene profile. So one thing we noticed from last year through our travels, when we would go to places where it was hotter, say Colombia, the Zkittlez would instantly almost get muted by that heat. And a lot of those volatile terpenes we feel would get kind of oxidized off at a certain temperature. Whereas other profiles like the backcrossed mysteries, also our flat earth conspiracy, it would hold up better. And it has, like you said, that better mix of a higher THC to go along with that super wet consistency that is the terps.
Yep, it's rare. It's rare when you're playing with those high THCs to get super high terp content. It's almost like there's only a certain amount of molecular space, you know?
Yeah.
So as you push it, you know, people want like the 30s and above, which gets kind of crazy anyway, scientifically. You know, a lot of times you lose the terp. Like the banana's like malleable, but sometimes there's no liquid in that.
And when you say people want in the high 30s, when you do your breeding, are you more of just chasing terpene profiles or interesting creative endeavors that you want to succeed at? Or do you chase where you think consumers are going to adapt and actually relate to? Are you trying to taste make for them?
We were always going on terps, you know, before all the testing, and the THC was always high because we were using hash plants. We were crossing hash plants with hash plants. And I've always been just looking for that first cotyledon and root spur, being up from the east, looking for the fastest strain. So just kind of getting the more indica varieties or the faster strains just naturally by doing that. And finding that anomaly, like finding the 1 in 2,000 seeds that's just super fast, but still has hella crystals, you know? So that's what we're looking for now too. Like if we're breeding, we do want that high THC for the white market. A lot of people don't understand yet, and they're just shopping that number, what we call percentards, or just people that just come in all day having a dispensary. What I see is people just want a certain percentage. They want 30% for $20 or 30% for $40. It's just a number set in their mind.
Do you think it's because they're convinced that number represents them getting higher, so they think their dollar is actually going farther? Or do you think
it's a lack of education? They're not like us. They're not delved in the culture. They don't know about terpene profiles. They just don't know. A little bit of education could go a long way, though, if we could get them to join the conversation. But most of the time, you know, they want to go in and out of here or whatever dispensary they're at, and they have a pre-condoned notion in their mind of potency or what the value is for their dollar. And everybody's trying to save money these days. But yeah, a little education goes a long way, because to me, it's all about terpenes, and the profile actually helps your brain decide how much THC it's going to accept anyway. So once people learn that, they can understand that it's not about just getting the strongest. It's hard. People's taste buds vary so much, and
it is. Everybody's different. Even the same strain can affect the same person differently. That's one of the most beautiful things about this. It is art, and it takes the experience to try to truly figure out what works best for you. But when it comes to the education, all we can do is have these conversations to try to start, you know, that interest into getting to the next step. When you guys have consumers come in here, do you give options behind anything from a budget consumer to a connoisseur? Or do you kind of set up your shop to fill a specific void in the market that you think you need to hit?
I mean, we support local. We have a little bit of high end, but it's a budget. You know, people are looking for like budget, whether they're older or younger people in this town right now. As a lot of Northern Cali, Mendocino's taking a hard hit. It's difficult for sure.
It is.
With all the taxes and all the fees of the permitting.
The land of the Emerald Triangle, so a lot of people still produce their own, so there's not quite that population that supports as much consumerism. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Before we ever got to this building, you're out east, you're chasing the dead. Along with chasing the dead, you're chasing the headies, you know, you're chasing that kind bud. When was it that you started that transition from chasing the kind bud to creating it yourself? When did you realize, hey, I can grow this shit?
Right. You know, as soon as you could order seeds in the mail from like 87 to 89. So you could, I remember writing these guys seeds, telling them like, I'm having seizures. I'm looking for something more potent. Then Carl had sent me this thing being like,
were you really having seizures?
I got the skunk one. Yeah. And they sent it to me twice. And I was like, listen, man, I already got this. And he sent me a Pakistani citron hash plant, Durban hash plant, Afghani hash plant. And that was it. That was like the lemon. We started growing that, crossing it, and getting these crazy lemony strains out of there. And we're talking like 87, 88, 89. Not a lot of people had.
You were starting this grow journey. Was it on the East Coast, or had you already moved to California by then?
It started on the East Coast, but like I said, when we moved to Boulder, that was when we really turned it up. You know, we had beasters coming in and everybody was growing indoors.
Were you finding seed stock from any of the flower too and growing that out, or were you?
Once in a while, you'd get a good bag seed. Like we considered something good if it was like from the inside or just one seed, you know, not from some male or some kind of pollen or something from the outside.
Yeah. So if you came across that one unicorn in a pack, you'd pop that. Try it out.
Which if you're growing like 5 pounds and smoking it all, you'll find usually one seed, you know, and still be growing Sensimelia, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, we kept those alive. And usually the plant's giving you that for a reason. Like, it's not that it's tired, or sometimes it just needs a regen or a rebirth. That's why seeds are so important. Clones are nice and people want that cut, but seeds are where it's at. And that's where everything comes from. That's
a funny thing to say, that they gives you that. And it's almost like you need it. Because we've been talking about the plant spirit throughout the last season. Joseph from Emerald Spirit Botanicals was on, and we have been kind of exploring how much an intention or a passion while working with the plant actually will lead to the plant giving you something you need, such as a volunteer. Some people are familiar, you know.
I saw that. Yeah,
with Sticky.
It's also you're helping the plant get further. It's helping you get further. You're talking about something that's been here like, you know, 20 million years, like multiple ice ages, long time before humans even, right? As we know anyway. But there's, strong electromagnetic connection, man, that just connects it. You're helping it. It wants to survive. You want to survive. You're making it better. It's making you better. There's a total kind of survival connection to it.
Yeah, it's the electrical frequencies that we all operate from. And I feel like the intentions of reaction together. And I feel like that's also why you see that difference in like it's called bro science or wolf science, but when you consume product from somebody that cared about it and loved it.
Oh yeah, man. Good in, good out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about
And it's
vibes.
almost like food too, you know, when you consume an animal or something that didn't have good inputs
Most
or the right
definitely.
intentions, you know, and you can feel that difference.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
though it can be hard to quantify in the numbers, you can like feel it.
That's why as you become a connoisseur, or, you know, the more you get into it, man, the harder it is to really get the good. Once you start recognizing or realizing what's good and what's not.
The energy and how it actually does have an effect on the consumer and the connoisseurs, as you just said, which is you keep using these terms that I haven't heard before, but the connoisseurs, people that have a higher level of care to their consumption, they'll notice.
It's almost
these
like you
things.
become organal, right? Or you become to this certain level where you're not going to get high off a booth product, you know, you're not even going to want to touch it. That's why it's hard to judge events, man. Sometimes you go, you know, we were in Michigan or anywhere, you travel around Spain and you're judging and you're like, oh God, you know, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. You're trying like 80 kinds of flour in 2 or 3 hours, or like 20, 30, 40 kinds of hash. And, you know, the inputs aren't as clean as you would back home from your little Mendo bubble. Where people care, you know?
You're opening yourself up for sure. That's what I said the other day. Back in the day, I would feel offended, or I didn't get it when people would refuse to hit somebody else's stuff. But the older I get and the more we consume our own stuff, and then I'll try other people's and I don't have a good experience, I'm like, oh, that's why these old heads didn't even want to take the chance.
Yeah, you only have so much lung space, dude. We're at level 5.
And believe me,
as you get older, you're like, all right, what do I want to put in my sacred lung space right now? You know?
And it used to be like the consumption itself used to be more of a ceremonial experience, you know?
Big time. Pre-COVID too. COVID kind of like, people don't come around and smoke bowls anymore. Everyone's got their own thing going.
The social aspect.
People don't share joints as much. Yeah, it's just like the community doesn't come together as much as we could. Like, there's so much separation.
Do you think COVID did play a role in that?
I'm not sure. It's just something that I noticed once the paranoia and COVID just stepped in. People stopped getting in circles, sharing joints, sharing pipes, you know?
Yeah. It was like a culmination of the Prop 215 transition to Prop 64 that zapped a lot of the cool public events that we used to have. And then with COVID hitting, there was no social events for like a year, 2 years.
The events are clutch, man. That's how the community comes together.
You were mentioning before that you'd have an interest to bring a festival to Mendocino.
I think it'd be great, man. You know, the county fair or with Ned over at, you know, the spot there, it's just fire. And we need it. We need to bring back the energy back to the triangle where it started.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like back in the day? So when you first got to the triangle, I've heard stories about how there was just way more of an influx of younger people, more money stimulating the economy.
I mean, back in the 80s and early 90s, there was like double-decker hippie buses and dreadies, and I guess people migrated out to Hawaii or something, but a lot of those guys just like disappeared. But, you know, for years when the prices were high, there was a much better economy pretty much. Now we're fighting the fact that the price of cannabis is going down and the price of everything else is going up. Food, cost of living here in Northern California, farmers are really suffering. We're paying a serious price because we invited in the legislation and regulation, and now we're rolling with it, and it's expensive. The permitting, the regulations, it's fierce, and everything's going up but the price of cannabis. So
yeah, inflation is real, and everything got more expensive except for how much you could sell your product for. How do you guys
making edibles or just coming up, you know, diversifying your plan? If you have a 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan, know your pie chart, know how much you grow for hash, how much you grow for cannabis, know what you're doing with your smalls. If you're not going to trim them and you're going to make them into an edible, just plan it out ahead of time and contract or know where your crop's going before you grow it. Just kind of like anybody in a normal industry, just be prepared and think ahead. And if it's going to take you a year or more to sell your 1,000 or 2,000 pounds, plan on that. Be ready, you know what's coming and know what you want, know where you're going.
That's all very good advice. I see a lot of people that came in to the newly formed Prop 64, and they rushed into overexpansion. And they kind of got into a point where they had to move X amount of product in it. and then they became trapped in the race to the bottom, because if you need to move more product than you can handle, then you need to compete against the bulk players. So,
and bulk is a serious thing. Like when you're buying or selling thousands of pounds, it's very different from buying or selling 10 pounds or 100 pounds. And that's one of the problems in Mendocino or in Northern California is people started having access to that 1,000-pound rate by just buying a pound or a few pounds. And, you know, you used to have to earn your way in and pay $3,000-$4,000 a pound, which any pound is worth that. If you think about it, there's a lot of labor that goes into it. So I'm a big fan of organic farming and everybody coming together and just like putting out that quality and bringing the number up by joining forces.
Yeah. It takes the army coming together. It seems like we're in it against each other right now, but when the real big players come in, it'll make us all look like ants in the bigger scheme of things. You know, when you start to look at 50,000 square foot cannabis, things that
Costco, Walmart, CVS, it's real and it's going to happen. So
when you guys look at your future, do you kind of concentrate on just creating your own IP or your own lane of genetics to prevent from getting stuck in that race to the bottom or the rat race? Or
we use the genetics most definitely. Like we use those hybridized quick strains to have more harvest per year, something that yields 35 to 45 days and is still giving you a good harvest with a high THC. And you can push more harvest per year. But basically, eventually, you just need to insource your edible lines and watch the pie chart as it shrinks. It used to be, let's say, all flowers, and then the pens came in. If you remember, people were making rosin just by pressing it without even like putting it in a washing machine.
Yeah.
And we'd
flower
have
rosin.
Yeah, we have Zkittlez, which was like liquid, and we'd have banana, which was like malleable white paste.
Chalkier, yeah.
You know?
Just because of the higher difference in the THCA.
And we would get like 20 to 25% yield on those.
Mm-hmm.
The guy I ended up getting the Skittles cut from, Ben, a local guy, an older guy, we would buy his flower just to make rosin because it would yield 25%, which was unheard of. He'd grow a 7-month greenhouse Skittles, big old 5 to 6 pound plants. And it would dump for rosin, man. And we were getting $100 a gram back then. We'd have it at the Chalice, at the High Times Cup, and the Emerald Cup, and people would line up for it, man.
Let me
Straight
pull your mic up again.
Fire.
I got all that though. It's not at awesome. No.
The problem in any tanked economy is you either got to come in with the best or come in with the lowest number, and people just consecutively keep on coming in with a lower number, and they're just, like you said, racing to the bottom. And it's just simple supply and demand economics, man. Like
when it comes to your guys' supply and demand, one way to protect yourself is by having the best, like you just said. How do you identify people? And can you tell us a little bit about that you call it the Ben Baller cut of the Skittles, correct?
Right.
Can you tell us, was it always called Skittles to you, or did it ever not have a name when you first got it? Because there's a lot of different stories about this. It was
Skittles or Sherb. He called it a Sherbert cut, and he claimed he had gotten like a terp test, so he knew it was the same because the terp tests are always the same on a strain.
So do you think the Sherb is the same as Skittles, or do you think a Sherb was bred and turned into a Skittles that's similar but just grows different?
I think it comes from the same line, and I don't know enough about it. You know, around here, everybody would tell you like that Tony T. Mendo and Fields had the cut, and Brandon got the cut, and that's all true as well. Like, to my knowledge, from the story of how it goes, the origin story, with everyone talking about it coming up from Leggett. And there's older folks too, like I happen to get it from an older guy in his 70s, Ben.
That's what I was going to say. Where do you think he got it from? Because he probably wouldn't have been in that circle.
I think he probably got it from them, you know, either from Tony or somebody from originally from Leggett like they did.
Yeah.
But I would say from around here, like it came from Tony.
Yeah.
You know?
Tony Mendo, for those of you that are wondering who we're talking about, shout out Tony Mendo. They're the first ones that kind of branded and really put on the map the Skittles when a lot of people shied away from it just because it's such a bitch to grow. They put the whole thing on their back and turned it into their brand.
And they're pretty much like the first people to ever brand a strain like that successfully and really put it on the map. Like people have heard of like Blue Dream or Durban or strains, but these guys really took it to a whole new level. cross-pollinating it with musicians and the local like modern rap scene, and just really like taking it all over the world, bringing it over into Spain. Brandon as well. These guys really just like advertise this strain like no one ever has before.
Yeah, it is awesome because they go out there, they advertise it to the world, and you're here at the ground zero of it in Mendocino. How have you seen that influence affect your relationships with sharing genetics? Before we started the podcast, you were talking about how your 4Z is getting everywhere right now. The Dirty Z before that, getting everywhere.
I'm still crossbreeding it. You know, I keep myself busy. Like, I'll give you the best stuff I have every year and then still force myself to just make it better because I'm still looking for the quicker, better. Especially right now, man, being able to harvest in like, let's say 6 weeks instead of 8 weeks really helps, especially for all these outdoor farmers that are growing acres, man. They're out there and they know the weather matters, you know?
Yeah.
With rain right now, it's been raining for months. Like if this happens in the fall, you're going to want a quick strain. And that 4Z is so resilient to freezing cold temperature and roasting hot 130 degrees summers like we've been having. So that's what we're looking for these days, not just like resilience to bugs and no mold. We want it to stink like a citronella candle and just be so fast like that it has crystals in veg to the point where bugs aren't even going to be able to stick to it or live to it. They're just going to die. But for some reason, there's certain strains that just put off pheromones and the bugs don't touch them. And with all the bugs around, you can see what's going on. You can see a plant that's not being affected. And we were really focusing on that in the last few years in our breeding, just noticing, wow, this thing like isn't getting touched. It's thriving. And I recommend people pay attention to that. That's something people would tell you a lot in Amsterdam when you were buying seeds. They'd ask you where you lived. If you're in Colorado, they'd give you something like the Rude that you could plant in the snow and dealt with dry weather. Because where you are matters. If you're on the coast, you want something fast.
Yeah.
You don't want to grow like a late strain. As great as it is, you're not going to be able to do it.
Because of that
You know, if you want to chase land races, be careful, man. Like that's what breeding's all about. Taking the strains you like and making it so you can grow them in your own climate.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge point that a lot of people do overlook. Our first few years of growing, when we would grow from seed, I would overlook that and I didn't understand why some plants under the same SOP would get hit by bugs worse than others. And then I started to realize, oh shit, we need to pay attention to the genetics and start keeping the ones that perform well in the region that we're going to be cultivating in. When you guys are doing your breeding projects and you are looking for these traits, can you walk us through how many seeds you pop and what the process is from how many keepers you keep originally to keeping the final selection and then breeding with that? Can you walk us through so that people at home can understand what it takes?
Man, for like 30 years, we did runs of 2,000 5 times a year in little Dixie cups indoors. So really being able to see the variation. And like we would pick that anomaly, man, it would be the 1 in 1,000 or the 1 in 2,000. That was literally just like a fuzzy hash plant that was done in like 35 to 45 days. Just a total anomaly. Even on our outdoors, we'd be planting these huge outdoors and one would just be done. And I'm not talking about just like something causing it to be done. It would just be done. Like you could not let it go.
Yeah.
People ask about the 4Zs, like 45 days, 42 days. That's pretty quick. And I'm like, get ready for it because it swells. It's big. If you're on a nutrient feeding cycle, like be ready to flush it out or, you know, focus because it's done that quick.
Yeah.
And it turns and it's chunky. If you guys have seen it, if you've grown it, it's not
like
shy.
grenades.
You don't have to top it. You don't have to undercut it. It just chunks. Even the bottom piece will be huge. It's almost like it gets like a late release nitrogen, you know, and it just is able to feed itself. I've never seen it turn yellow. It just kind of stays green till the finish.
And do you attribute that to you guys taking the Z that would otherwise be, you know, finicky, turn yellow early, and crossing it to those more sturdy Lemo G genetics?
Yeah, the Pakistani, the Pakistani citron hash plant, the backbone of that. The more we cross it back, the more I see that. You know, that's how it hit that. The first time that Dirty Z is 37% THC. That's a big jump from Zkittlez. When we got it, it was like maybe 17 to 22 at best. We weren't seeing that. Now, the testing has changed. The same Lemo G cut that was 27 forever is now like 22. And
I was going to say,
are all over
do you
the
notice
place.
More accurate testing finally, or things coming back to it?
It's so hard to say. It's still all over the place.
Yeah.
We have strains that are hitting really high. We're going to run some of James Loud's genetics that are hitting in the high 30s. I like some of that Taste Buds, Fruit Loops, and even some of that waffles, chicken and waffles coming from Humboldt Seed Company. Some of these strains I've seen coming in just that we sell in the dispensary
I think
here.
I saw Mendo Dope through the chicken and waffles.
Yep. And those guys are growing good weed, man. Just what they even won the Emerald Cup with, that the Heady OG was just nice, shiny, chunky, high THC, which is what you want if you're focusing on that white market sales.
Clean, sun-grown.
And just good weed that you'd want to smoke and pack in your bowl, you know, not something like that you're going to drive down the highway and just throw out your window after you bought for a fucking ridiculous price.
Take us back. Let's go back to your pheno hunting. So you said you used to do 2,000 plant runs like 5 times a year. What are you doing now?
Nowadays, we'll throw like 300-400 seeds out at Potter where we're doing our seed runs. And as you've seen if you're running that stuff, there's little variance. I mean, you're talking like F160, 165. It's been crossed into itself so many times. We use the cross with anything out there that's like really good, but small yielding. So if you have some classic strain that you have, but you want to either speed it up, make it brighter or more bug resistant, we put that lem into it. And that male lem is the one, man. That's the backbone. That's what made the dirty Skittle. That's what we keep crossing back to anything we want to just bring out the THC or the brightness. For me, it's about the strain staying bright and not oxidizing, man.
So
having a strain that's a shade or two brighter.
Yeah. So you run your lines new every year. Do you create new pollen? Or like, do you reverse?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I keep the male. I got the male, and I'll take clones off it and keep it alive and keep harvesting pollen.
How long will you keep a male for?
As long as it is healthy. You know, like a lot of times if you're not liking what your veg is looking like, you can rejuvenate your plant by growing it 8 to 10 feet. Grow it till it's shooting out 7, 9, 11, 13 blades again. Then take a clone. Then you won't get these viruses, hop latent, all these things that are happening. People taking clones and trying to rush it. People taking clones and budding or re-vegging. It's not what it wants. What it wants is just to be grown back, vegetate like dinosaur leaves till it just gets enormous and healthy again. And you'll see these people testing for hop latent where different regions of the plants, it's like brick testing, have hop latent.
Yeah.
So it's telling you that it's trying to fight it, but it can't. So like, if you let it just outgrow, you'll see that it'll overcome it. So like, health is so much more important. Hop latent and testing is important, but if you get clean viroid stuff from tissue culture and you put it out into this earth that's full of all the virus in the first place, you're going to be dealing with all the virus that you had before you started from fresh. So the most important thing is keeping your plant life and your soil life healthy and fresh, man.
Yeah, I think that's something people overlook. And I never thought about it like that because we have had parts of plant tests result with hop latent, but then another part of the plant be clean. And I never thought about it. It's almost like fighting a virus or a cancer yourself, how you can't overcome it if you let it just grow out and get to a big enough stage that it is completely clean.
It's also talking to you, you know, like seeds do. Seeds either come out the belly or the top, right? Seeds either like lay their shell from the front or the back. And when the plant's doing stuff like that, it's literally saying, hey, man, check this out.
Yeah.
You know, it's giving you data.
Yeah. I never thought about it like that. When it comes to your first round, how many cuts do you guys keep when you're starting to narrow it down?
So these days, like I said, since it's so bred into itself, we'll take like 20 or 30 still.
That's all you need, yeah.
You know, and we'll notice, like I was telling you before, maybe 1 in a dozen will be like pure lem, and it'll just be like so citrusy or almost like a grapefruit.
Yeah.
Just like a lemon tree level of citrus, but it'll have a lower THC, but be extremely lemon on the terps. And we lean more towards just like the full Z. That's why we went back to that ZOZ with just that original Zkittlez terp.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little more finicky. It has that really bright Eddie Lep OG profile though, where you're getting on the level of just alien brightness, just unbelievable especially when you're growing it indoor.
You just mentioned Eddie Lep. He was a pioneer of cannabis out here. Just like Mendocino has been home to a lot of legends in the game that we've lost. Is there anybody that you have encountered? Did you have any mentors out here in Mendocino that you would kind of pay homage to getting you to this far?
Man, there's so many people. I remember Monty from TGA Seeds, or, you know, even take it back to Neville from Amsterdam, and Carl, of course, from Super Sativa Seed Lovers Club. A lot of the local warriors out here, man. Dylan from Black Sheep Genetics, Sticky, you guys, you know, people that are just out here growing it, man. Nate from Higher Heights, J Trees, just farmers, people who are in it because they love it, and they're here because they love it.
In it for the right reasons too, you know. Right. A lot of these people, they're in it before there was a lot of money and there's a lot of risk. So they kind of laid the groundwork to getting us this far, because there's kind of a fluctuation. Back in the day in Mendocino, there wasn't a lot of money in cannabis. And then there was like...
depending how far back you take it, you know, like I was coming out here in the 80s and early 90s.
That's when it was all money.
Paying $4 or $5 grand a pound. Like there was money, man.
That was the money. But before
and it's
that,
a shame we didn't come together and lobby and become more active in the local government and the board of supervisors and even the mayors, because in the long run, we're a big part of the income, and the industry needs to like come together and think bigger on a bigger platform. And instead of being afraid of it, just be the local government.
Mm-hmm. How would you say that the transition has affected you as a small business owner? Do you think that there's sustainability in getting into the landscape now? If there's people at home watching this and they say, wow, it's my dream to have a dispensary like this.
Maybe in Vegas. I mean, here, this is the highest per capita dispensaries in the world. We got almost 15 dispensaries in a square mile. And for us, we were here in 2009. It was good back then. I think the town, they let too many people in. They didn't cap it. They went beyond what the people need, and they're just overtaxing each individual dispensary. They take 5% of gross for one thing. They take other fees and permitting. And in the end, they're just overtaxing everybody, and we're not working together. Yeah. And it doesn't really suit everybody, because now it's just corporate. You barely recognize any other brands. You try to support the local brands, but you got a lot of these huge brands coming in with massive Instagram and TikTok following, and there's no way to exist with that. Mm-hmm. That's why you just have to do it if you love it. Your passion is your asset, like I heard Sherb say, man, and it's true, because if you don't love it right now, you're leaving it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still like kind of a false assumption that anybody in the cannabis game is just getting rich, but it's definitely not that way right now. And it's really coming down to the people that either love it, or it's just the big corporations that are working at trying to dissolve the market share and wait till everybody else goes under.
So there's such a difference too in that mass-produced booth. I mean, people who have their heart in it, man, who are really like shepherding and worrying their strain. Like what you were saying, that there was a lot of risk. There was a lot of risk, man. People went to jail. People are in jail. You know, it wasn't free when it was $5,000-6,000 a pound. Even the beasters, when they're coming in, people were going to jail. And that's the thing. People forget that the sacrifice made, and that, you know, we didn't ask for permission or wait for permission. We got to where we are by just doing it, you know? And that's a big problem. Like these guys from these groups that come in and permit us and fee us, they don't understand us. They're not from our culture. They don't use cannabis. They don't see it as a value besides the fact that it's paying their paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sad truth, you know? We've seen it just in our like 7 years of being out here, the transition, and just like the overall vibe of the community shift to like an industry. And there's like the last of the dying breed that are still the community minded, but
you downsize by choice for your own mental sanity, because at a certain point, you know, you can blow yourself up to a point where it's just not, there's no integrity anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
So life's short and you're doing what you love. So it's challenging, man. Speaking of which, I want to see these guys take some mega dabs.
You guys want to take a super hot one?
Yeah, let's take a hot rip.
Are you going to do a hot one? Here, I'll put the camera over here. All right, who do we got over here, Micah?
Chad's been smoking hash over here for easily 15 years, since before I was around. So he's an originator of the heart here. And pretty much, you know, I saw this dude making hash and taking dabs before anybody else, man.
Yeah, so we're in the back.
Keef through the glass tube.
2011.
For anybody that's wondering where we're at, this is the back of the Compassionate Heart. So we've been sitting here having the interview. If you come to the lounge, you can consume your product right on site. You can purchase it in the front. You guys don't just have hash. This has been a hash-centered. What else do you got? Yeah, I got you ready. He's about to take a scorcher. Micah, tell us about what you guys all have here besides the hash. I think you have a little bit of everything, right?
We always had, you know, good organic local cannabis. We got plenty of edibles, gummies, nighttime CBDs, bombs, creams, rosin.
Why was it important for you to install a lounge here? Why was community vibes and hanging out with people important when a lot of people just want to shove you in and out like cattle, get the product and go? Why was it important for you to give people a chance to take red hot dabs?
Honestly, on-site consumption is key, and people overlook the fact that a lot of people are homeless, man, and they need somewhere to use their medicine, and just even giving somebody that comfort zone for a minute, on top of the fact that you should be able to consume. It's going to save a lot of dispensaries having a lounge. We have live music, and you can have people have food, and it's important to create a vibe, especially with Costco and CVS and Walmart. These people that are going to start carrying cannabis, people are going to be shopping, and they're just going to shop there. So if you can't offer a different experience or a more communal vibration, a lot of the business is going to get lost. And I feel like we've always offered that, and that's what's helped us stay alive, even in this congested market where there's tons of people. And I would say to people, as this happens to you in New York or anywhere where you start having shops everywhere, it's all about integrity, and just kill them with your kindness. Just the nicer you are, just be nice. It's as simple as that. It's all about just integrity and a smile, and just making people's day nice. They come in here and they just want to, everyone's got tons of problems out there in the human condition. So just like share the vibe, and that's what the lounge is all about.
Yeah. Couldn't say it any better than that. Because there is going to get to a point where, like you just mentioned, it's going to be the Costco's of cannabis, the Johnson & Johnsons. You're
seeing it. Look at Glass House.
The 7-Elevens are going to start carrying vapes.
You got Jeter's, Steezy's. You got these giant companies, which of course people are paying attention to. They're number one and number two. Whether they bought the spot on Weed Maps or not, people are like, okay, if you're a dispensary, you're paying attention that people are requesting that, and you have to carry that. So originally we carried only like local organic products, but to stay alive these days, we have all the competitive products. And you got to listen to your customer. That's another thing I tell people. If people are requesting something, pay attention and make sure you have it, because someone else will have it and then they'll be gone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Keeping up with an evolving market means being able to pivot, take suggestions, and go out and get what is needed to survive.
You say, oh God.
Do you love taking dabs with friends, but hate cleaning your banger the old-fashioned way? Are Q-tips alone just not cutting it? Does burning your leftovers take way too long? Introducing the Banger Basket with all new tab technology. So simple to use, even you can do it. Simply open your basket, pour in your alcohol, dip your banger, and voila! You're ready for another dab in an instant. Leaving you and all your friends happy, healthy,
and ready for your next dab. Get yours today at www.saveyourbanger.com.
And stay on the cutting edge, like the genetics, man.
That's
like,
what I was just going to say. When it comes to
come
the
up with
genetics,
that unicorn and the anomaly, because especially now when everybody's breeding, and I think it's a good thing. Anyone making the strain better, you're not just making it better for people out there that are using it for medicine. You're making it better for itself, humankind. You're doing something good, So if you're out there and you're breeding and people are roasting you for one reason or another, just remember why you did what you did and come from the heart. And don't even worry about any of that, Yeah. There's a lot of like negative stigma, negative energy. Those people are not staying busy. Just stay busy and do what you're doing. And just pay no attention to the haters is my opinion. A lot of time those people are just fans and they can't figure out what to do with the energy. And it just gets misconstrued into hate, but just let them figure it out on their own, and they'll come back around.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice. What about your cutting edge? What's on the chopping block? What's next for you? What can people expect on the next releases from the Lempire? What are you working on right now?
we're keeping it mega terps. Like I recommend to people, you know, pineapple, banana, you know, all these super terps, even a lot of these Durbans. We're working with a lot of land races that stop like the right-hand tremor for some of these NFL and NBA things that we got going. But the things I'm most excited about, we popped some new old stock Scentsy seed bake. You seen like the skunk that we've had in the old packy, just some stuff like, you know, proving that the stuff in the 80s was better. It's disease free. We were doing this test to see if it was cleaner because it doesn't have all these viruses. And I've been doing this thing for the last 10 years or so called the seed section. It's like a cesarean on old seeds where I'll wet it and cut it with a razor blade. We found a lot of old seeds when we opened them up in the end or smushed them. Man, they were fine inside. The cotyledon root spur was nice. It just wouldn't come out. So in an older seed, the root spur has a shell and it recedes to the point where the seed would normally open up. So what you can do is cut that part open. After you've cut the seed, you can cut that and remove it and it'll help it just open. And it'll look funny on that first leaf, but it'll be able to grow and come out. And you can do this with 20, 30, 40-year-old seeds.
Yeah.
Now, the males will survive longer than females. A lot of these older seeds are males, you know, and they'll kind of just turn into males, whatever they started as. But you can get some of these super old seeds to pop. And we did that. We got some of the 87 seeds to pop. And that's what I'm most excited about when it comes out and you grow it and it's exactly how you remembered it. And you're like, oh man, this is more than like time travel and memory lane. This just proves that this thing is still here and it was this good way back then. Now it's only testing out at like 17 to 19, but a couple upgrades and some crossbreeds and it'll be up to the THC level.
That's cool.
But man, the terps are there and it's just lemony and it's just got that old school vibe to where anyone who's like 50 and older, you give it to them. Like Jodry or Shiloh or just old time heads that come around and you're just like, they understand. They know what we're talking about. And that's like the most exciting thing for me. I love like the old hazes. I love like an old like Neville style haze that doesn't smell fruity, like the skunky, like the first time you got haze and it was just an ounce stuck together like a giant softball. You're just peeling it apart and you're like, man, just the old school excites me. So, and I think like those old school strains are always going to remain. You know, a lot around here, people got into the gelato. There's a gelato bit. Everything's purple. People are running with that. But honestly, man, I like the skunks and the sours, the stuff that has a backbone of just like diesel or sour, the gas, just that original shit that gets you stoned, man.
Super stoned.
Heavy stoned. I got some sour right here from J Trees. I'm excited to rip. Make sure we delve into that. Let's do it. I don't usually dab, but I'm down for that.
He's dabbing today.
I'm down to try the 4Zs too.
I'll show the people at home.
Let's try some mega hot rips on Tosh and Chad. I want to see these guys turn red. And
Did you guys hear the background? It's been pouring down.
You're not green.
Today.
We'll check on you.
But the nice thing about this lounge is that it's all inside.
You know how it is. That's how it started.
Just gotta survive.
This is how it starts.
I've seen these guys light nails on fire here, so.
Really? We used to do that back in the day.
Yeah, the Nectar collection days were pretty intense.
How's Sam doing?
He's doing great. He's going to be coming to Spain with me this year. We got invited to judge the Masters of Rosin.
Oh, that's awesome. It's exciting. I saw that. That looks like fun, man.
Once we get the 4Z more dialed in, we'll probably end up entering that in something.
Oh yeah, dude, that'll win. I know that's gonna win. People have been holding it back, but
I know you
enter that, you'll win. Like it's just so fire. I won with it in Michigan. Like you just enter that and win. Honestly, the flower alone. Emerald Cup was a little weird this year because it was the wrong time of year, so you're entering like hella old flower.
Yeah.
It needs to be fresh. You want a cup that's just like right at harvest, so you get that fresh flower.
Do you want to try the 4Z that we brought, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'm
it's
down.
over there. It's the blue jar.
I want your opinion on the sour. Let me know. I love J Tree's work, man. It's just indoor, organic. No chemicals. He's like got the Snow Bottle Squad. They just mix it in, a little Nature's Pride. nice,
Yeah, that's
clean
the best way.
flush.
Especially for us when it comes to resin, because everything gets so concentrated down, you can really taste things if they're not.
And it's
clean.
a nice color, I feel
Yeah.
like, for full spec. It's like, I don't know, it's
What's full spec in your opinion? Some people think anything that's not a 90U is full spec.
I mean, that's just like everything. That's like
40 to
Brian
1.
Piatella it, but it's not the Piatella.
This is rosin?
Yeah.
This is rosin.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What do you smoke on the regular? What's your go-to? I see you've been puffing out.
I smoke a Snodgrass
That's a
one
snotty,
hitter
right?
all day. I got
Will you hold it in
dragons
front of
and
this
pipes,
camera?
but I always just smoke
Look,
a
that's a
one
preview.
hitter.
Look, you're going to do a QVC. This is
Yeah.
Micah from the Compassionate Heart showing off a Bob Snodgrass today.
Yep, just
Tell us
like
about
Snotty's grandson making these for me at this point with the aliens and the skulls. And I basically just smoke this all day. A nice fresh green.
Pack it with a little bit of
So that way you get fresh
sun-grown.
green every day, fresh green organic sun grown to the
Yeah.
dome. Or like indoor, but if it's just like, you know, I'm talking like no chemicals, no newts, old living soil, indoor organic, or really clean, flushed soil. I don't know, I'm kind of picky.
What was it like getting established once you were out here and doing this yourself? I'm sure it wasn't easy at first. Did you have to work your way in as a broker or something before you started your cultivation career?
I
Or
mean,
how
it's
did
funny you say that. Like, I was out here growing, and I got a job bud tending, and then I was like in charge of sales. When Chad was bud tending, we were both bud tending, and the sales started getting insane
Back when
because
it was medical.
Mondays and
215.
Thursdays we'd have like a quarter-mile line outside with people
Holy shit.
with Tupperwares just dropping it off.
We go through 100 patients a day. We get like 200 samples a day.
And we probably were
We
trapping like
buy like
2,000 pounds a week, I would say. Enough to where it was just people were just dropping off garbage bags and
Remember you guys
bins
so mad about
daily.
the double bags that were left behind?
It was out of hand and out of control, and stuff was at a level of the gray market, you know, in the beginning. It was definitely crazy because you had to work with us if you had a permit, because you had to show where you were selling your pounds. So all the farmers were bringing all their harvest here. And a lot of people were growing for medical purposes. They're like, listen, I grew what I need for my sick family member, and I'm going to donate the rest. Or people, for one reason or another, were just dropping off. Veterans would drop off yields for other veterans and just say, hey, man, just give it away to all the veterans. Or there are many reasons that we were intaking hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And we were giving a lot of it away to the homeless, which was working great. And the police were loving us. We were reducing crime and just improving the vibe. And that's one of the things about today that sucks. Like, people have to go get like a $300 medical card. And it's a big hurdle for a lot of the homeless people that just want to come in here and have a program where they can just receive free medicine. So that's one of the things that's a downturn, you know, the accessibility to homeless people of free medicine, because lots of brands want to donate and they'll give us stuff, but these people don't have the money to get the card to make it work.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if that was easier than people having to save receipts and apply at the end of the year to get the discount on their taxes. In general, there should be no tax on cannabis. It's just a ridiculous thing.
I didn't even know you could keep your receipts and apply for
Yeah, for medical.
Yeah.
And the thing in general is it's just taxes on taxes on taxes. And it's just no other industry faces this kind of weight, you know, especially a burgeoning industry or an industry in the beginning. If anything, we should have taxes levied so that we can mature and become the industry that the corporate people want to just grab from us. They can't make it, but they can take it. Remember that. So what you're building, build it for yourself and keep it for yourself and know what your intentions are, because if it's just money, yeah, these people will cash you out and take it all. So know what you're doing.
Yeah, I've seen it happen a lot. All right, you got to try the mystery. Grab the blue jar and you got a dabber in front of you. I'll heat you up.
Which is the
Do you
one?
guys have a dab right or anything? Are you looking at the temperature anyhow?
Let me know.
You know?
Are you just
Can
feeling
I
it
borrow
out?
this for a sec?
Unfortunately not.
This is a good one from Full Flavor and Humble Greenery.
Full flavor kills it.
Two good kids doing some good work. Humble Greenery always rolling by with the good. And yeah, Kobe with the Full Flavor. I got a great story about Full Flavor, dude. This is a great one, man. Back when we were trapping and we were, let's say I'd be driving home with like 100 pounds to 200 pounds every day. The most that could fit in my Nissan Pathfinder. And I smoked some full flavor fucking Gorilla Glue. Big up. Strongest hash I've ever smoked in my life.
Shit.
So next thing I remember, to my knowledge, you know, there's a traffic jam and I'm waiting in it in Hopland. I'm having a dream and I think the alarm clock's going off. So all I hear is an old school 80s alarm. I think I'm late for school. I'm sweating. I wake up and I notice that my dumb ass with 100 pounds in the car fell asleep during the traffic jam and everybody's fucking beeping at me to get through construction. So that's fucking hands down some of the strongest fucking hash on the planet, man.
That is hilarious. And you made it unscathed?
Oh yeah, man. That car, which I put to rest at 720,000 miles, had never been pulled over.
That's amazing. All right, so we're going to get him lined up. We got the nail heated up. I got it on a timer, so hopefully you take it at a decent temp.
We got to give Tasha fucking Graham Ripper out. I'm sure she can handle it. I know she can take it.
Like, she just ripped a huge one behind you while you were talking. It was hilarious.
Yeah, she don't play. She smokes like a half ounce a day. That banana Z, anything, honestly, Humble Greenery is the first time I saw the 4Zs. He brought by this ice hash that was just white.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God. Because, you know, you never know until people start running it.
Yeah, you don't.
You gonna take a little schmeeple?
I'm going to take a schmeeple. A schmeeple is the living dab, this cartoon character that Chad and I like came up with while we were smoking probably 10, 15 years ago.
Really?
We were like, schmeeple is a living dab. He's like a walking joint, you know, but instead he's like a living dab.
Set a pet ball. Oh, well. The old pinky. You know what I mean?
Very smooth.
You got enough grit on there on the pinky, you can just pinky cap it.
Whoa.
Does somebody, do you want to clear it? You can probably get a rip if you want it.
That was good to the last drop.
A little bit hot.
The terps were nice. Still super terpy.
Right?
Pretty warm.
None of that like
It is warm. I let that
sunflower
go
peanut
a minute
taste.
20 too.
That's actually not bad. Minute 20s are good.
I'll dab like once a month, maybe.
Really?
It has to be straight flame, you
We
know?
used to have a little custom Nectar. That was like probably back. It was the 80s. I used to roll it.
Oh yeah. The Nectar collector.
could just
I still have that.
Oh yeah.
It's about the size of one lung.
You just put it right in there.
We got a lot of custom Nectar collectors, okay? And they were like, they had color in them and Rasta stripes. Remember those?
Yeah, the 3.0.
They were really
the
nice.
ones
Not the
smaller.
hummingbirds, not the mini ones.
Not the mini ones.
The bigger ones.
The
They
bigger
were
ones.
not the huge ones.
Nope.
They're about the
Medium
size of your lung.
size.
They were 500, right?
Can you grab that? The Nectar collector? You know where it is.
Yes.
You
Let's
still
use
have
it.
it?
Yeah, let's use it.
Dude, that's a hot. Now that's
Shout out to what's his name?
Ruben.
No, who makes the Nectar collectors? A kid from Colorado.
Wabash Glass Company from Colorado.
That's the company. What's the kid's name? Come on, pull it. You know it. Nectar collector.
Will you put that in the ISO, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
They were signed. Remember?
Yeah. Christian Mirfro.
Mirwood.
Christian WGW.
Come on, Chad. You got it, dude. This is amazing.
Christian. I can just remember.
I want to say Mirwood.
Say it. Christian. Oh yeah. 2015.
Just needs
Holy
a little bit of
shit.
water.
2015 right there.
Now these things are cool because you can like smoke just what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever ripped one of these?
Micah, glow means go.
How much water goes in there, Chad?
Just
Set
a
it up.
fucking baby.
Set it up for us. She's got it. Sorry.
Are you gonna rip this?
Oh yeah, dude. This is nuts.
This is gonna fuck you up, bro.
Rib Scouts.
The thing with dabs for me is like I smoke flowers about half ounce a day every day for 40 years.
Holy shit.
Dabs wake me up. So it's
Yeah.
like a reverse effect. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I have friends like that. They get more stony off the flower now than they do dabs.
And we used to love chasing hash in the 80s and early 90s. It was just rare. You get it. You get border Afghan or Moroccan, or we go to Amsterdam and try like 20 different kinds of hash. The red Sputnik from Russia, the Manali from India. Like they'd have all these different kinds, and it was like our job to try them all. I got some killer old menus from Amsterdam in the 80s
What
in
was
the
your
shop.
favorite? Was there anything that stands out? I still remember this time I got some Fua Extracts Amnesia Haze, 6-star, and it changed like the way
Amnesia's killer. I was growing that for years. That's a great strain, man.
Yeah.
A lot of those, like really, like I'm working with those African land races, and they predate the Colombian fruit. Like they're the original fruit. You know, it grows great out in Potter where you got 130 degree temperature. We're basically Africa out there.
Yeah,
You know?
I didn't think about that.
It goes back to growing what your climate is. You know,
exactly.
if you're seeing everything heat up, like for hash, I tell everybody, man, decide the part of your harvest that's going to be grown for hash and cover it with clear plastic, and then use shade fabric on top of that, and go with the 35%, the good white stuff, but be ready to fold it back to 70 if it gets really hot, because you'll get so much more hash if you're growing for hash.
Yeah, because you're not going to burn those heads away.
A lot of people this summer, because of the heat, as we process in our manufacturing here, they're like, dude, we're only getting like 2 to 4%. And they're like, yeah, you know, Dirty Skittles is hitting 5 to 6% for everyone. So you're running a clone. And if you're only getting 2%, you either got it roasting hot, or they don't remember to give it water in the end. They're like, it's done, so just let it go. And in my opinion, I'm watching crops. If you don't water it at the end, you're going to get a lot less when you're making hash, man. And you're going to see it on the percentage.
Yeah, you got to be careful with the
His
dry
name's
back.
Weird Crops or something with an M. That's the guy that makes the.
That looks like a wrestler, dude. I thought you were showing him a fucking
Let me
wrestler.
see the last name.
I can't find his last name. He hasn't put it on his website.
All right,
Yeah.
Micah, we're going to line
Anyway.
you up on
They sign
this
these
jar
things.
of Chem Candy. So this is going to
Christian
be a Chem
Merwin.
V.
Christian
gassy
Merwin,
taffy.
yeah, all right, yeah, I was right.
Merwin.
Kristen Merwin.
Yeah.
That's who made this?
Yeah, he's the inventor of the Nectar Collector.
Oh, okay. So this
Yeah.
is from the originator of
Dude, bring the
Nectar
big
Collector.
one, dude. Tell her to bring it. Dude, bring it.
You're
You know
going out
where
with
it
a
is.
bang. So we're going to do a Nectar Collector hit out of the Chem Candy. This is going to be a big hit, medicinal effects, bred by Symbiotic, collaboration with Grow
You got
P
a
here.
torch?
Oh, I got one.
All right, so yeah, this is old school. How's this go? Fucking. Okay. So this is how we used to rip it, man. And this was like high tech at the time. So you're talking maybe 2010.
Hold it up a little bit so the camera can see it. Yeah, there you go.
This is 2010 tech, Christian Merwood.
So the reason they call it a Nectar Collector is because you're acting like kind of
Christian Merlin.
a rosin hummingbird here, huh?
Yeah, this is like pre-hummingbird.
Let it go.
So
Here
you're
we
going
go.
directly into the jar?
Yep, here it is. It's nice because like smaller air-cooled
so you
rips.
can just take a little bit. You don't got to clear it. You don't got to shove
You
it
can
down
take as
through
much
the
as
whole
you
way.
want, you
Yeah.
know? And it's nice
Okay.
because you take it with your breath or what your breath allows. And it's about the size of one lung, which is about what I have. And it was just something to it, man.
That was chill. I thought that was going to be way more highly combustive.
You can do the whole thing if you want.
Or you
But,
just do a little
it's just
bit.
nice because if you continuously, like, it'd been a while, but if you take 3 or 4 small rips, it's almost like you're getting air-cooled oxygen rips, you know? I don't know.
You could probably make one that have like the glycerine.
That hit
inserts,
nice. That
too.
was so tasty.
That's
That
cool,
was
right?
like air.
Yeah, this shit
So
is smooth.
smooth.
Chem Candy.
Amazingly smooth.
Oh shit! What the hell is this?
This is 2014. This
Put
is
that on
11-year flashback, bro.
What?
So the stand.
This was new tech because the tip was removable. So we can take that out and put this in even, right? That's the one. None of the other ones before this model had removable tips.
They have quartz for the traditional.
This will be hot. Don't touch it.
Stainless.
But so we could put this. I think it hits better with
Titanium.
yeah.
Sorry.
Titanium is gonna be hotter though, right?
It's the true hot dab, bro.
Yeah.
But very
Going out with
tasty.
a bang.
1,200
Very
degrees.
tasty.
All right.
That was so
When
tasty.
it's fucking glow, you gotta go.
So you just keep it in that and hit it?
I
or-
do. Keep
Yeah.
it safe. We
Yeah.
used to, how many? 20,
We used to,
15,
Chad and I would give away like
20,
500 of
15
these
high
a
times,
day.
High times cannabis
What?
cup,
Yeah, we originated probably giving people their first free
hits,
dab. And a
20,
lot of it
15
was amazing, high
times.
quality third gen fam, like Brandon's
hit one of
fucking
these.
rosin. We'd hold up sheets of it,
You can
and
see
people would get in line, and we'd
It's
give them
work, it's
killer
nice.
dabs.
all on the inside. It's even signed. You'll see it signed on the clear glass.
This thing is sick. You've had it on the shelf. It's got a little
Yeah.
dust on it. You guys are going to break the dust off for us today?
It's definitely been sitting for 10
Should we do
years minimum.
a dry
11.
dab?
Yeah.
Ooh.
A dry hot dab?
Yeah, dude, that's absolutely.
That'd be killer.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'll do one. To
Yeah.
end the show, the only way.
Should bring some of the dragons down. The dragons are getting jealous. Why don't we bring them down? If we're showing glass off, we have to bring Bob Snodgrass into the picture here because
Bob Snodgrass, the
this dude
innovator
originated
of the Headies.
putting, color into glass. So let's
Give
get
people
real
a little
with
bit
it.
of a background on Snodgrass. You probably became
This
affiliated
dude was
because
the
of
first to put color in borosilicate glass, and we'd see him in the dead lot starting like 87 selling his $10 top hats. And over the years, traveling with him, getting high with him, roasting a bowl with him, tripping balls, and hanging out. Like he's just like hanging out with your granddad or, smoking a bowl with the Snod father. But he's the master of the air-cooled hit, man. He's all about how smoke travels through the pipe into your lung. Kind of like how he breathes into the pipe to make it, and then he's breathing into the pipe to smoke it. He's super focused on that. He's like a dude caught in the cosmos of like the way smoke travels into the pipe and into your lung. And when I was a kid, man, that was it. Like getting a Snodgrass and plugging it with a nug of kind bud and having your Owsley buckle and being in the dead lot. That was what it was all about. It was the ultimate. Knowing you had the Snod, it was like a holy sacrament.
Yeah, he was and still is to this day one of the best class artists out there. Now collaborating with some of the newest young innovators on the scene.
Keeping it cutting edge,
Yeah.
keeping it in his family. He's got his grandkids working and his grandkids' kids working. It's just so cool to watch it all.
While I look around here before we take this last hit, I noticed that you guys have a lot of beautiful graffiti in the back. Can you tell us a little bit about who did the artwork out here?
Yeah, big ups to Shraven, man.
Oh, no shit. This is Shraven.
And Shraven been doing a lot of these designs you see out there in the world before they were even designs. They all come from the fucking mastermind of the
put it down.
genius, Shraven.
He just looks like he just brought out some more headies, huh?
We wanted this to kind of blend in. We knew like we were going to have plants in front of it, keeping it kind of like Mendo. He did some great stuff out at our farm too, man.
What do you got here?
The dragons were getting jealous, so we brought some Snodgrasses out. Talking about Bob, we're going to stuff some of these, pass them
Damn.
around like you. And this
What year is this from? Do you know?
is a 1987. This is the 10th dragon ever made right here. This is like a relic. So this is an oldie but a goodie, man. This is literally when Bob was first starting with the zap tubes that eventually became the dragons. So this is kind of like the evolution of a dragon. If you see these,
The internal dragons are pretty crazy.
yeah, this is some crazy work if you think about it. This is from the 80s, man. This is from 1987. So this thing's like museum quality. If you look
And
at
you've
just
been
like the
smoking out of
mind,
it for like 30 years. 40
long
years.
time. I got it from Bob's daughter, Ann Naiman, in Colorado when I lived in Boulder. But they're really good air-cooled hits, and out of the dragon's mouth will be just a perfect stream, and it hits like a champ. We're gonna pack it right now just in honor of Bob.
Oh. So these are what they call dragon.
Yeah, these are dragons.
All right, I'll rip this bad boy hot.
Yeah, we're gonna get this really, really, really hot.
So what
Let
you
me put
do
this
with
away.
these, Chad, you just plug them, you know?
Some plug skis.
And yeah, and then you rip them, man. So like,
I want to see this. I want to see. I'm gonna hit it, but I want to see somebody else hit it too, because I want to see the smoke coming out the mouth. This is like as old as I am almost. You know?
this is from 1987.
Yeah, I was 86. So how long ago did you buy it? How long have you?
Man, I bought it in the
been holding it?
90s when the mail was getting janky.
Did you buy it brand
Bob
new?
would only send to his daughter, and
So
I
you
knew
bought it
her.
new.
No, I didn't get it new.
You
This
did?
was like
Okay,
hers
okay.
and her boyfriend's. She offered me hers, and I just couldn't take hers. She's like, "My dad made this for me on my 16th birthday," and I was like, "Oh, I can't just buy that."
Heavy.
Yeah.
Like that stand alone was $100. That's what he charged us to make. That stand was made by a different guy that Christian collabed with. For some reason, they liked that.
So here we go. Big up to Bob. Huh.
How often do you bust that out?
Well, it's funny because when she sold it to me,
I've never seen it.
and this is like back in 93 or 4, she said, "Listen, man, you got to feed it daily." And, you know, the thing with the dragon is I can hook you up with the dragon, but he's really fucking hungry, man. And we've been having a hard time feeding him, man. And you could take him, man, but you got to feed him if you choose the dragon. She laid out like 50 pieces. She was like, "You can pick any piece you want." I had been working with her. And some of the cool pieces had disappeared. And I showed up and I was like, "What's up, man? These cases are like picked through." She was like, "You can pick any piece you want." And I was like, "Holy shit." You know, I was like, "Whoa." And, you know, I kept my word and I've been feeding this thing for like that many years, man.
That's beautiful. Maybe that's why
It
you've had
rips
the
clean, man.
That's why you've been blessed by the cannabis gods when it comes to your selections, because you've been feeding the dragon. You ever think about that?
You want to rip on that?
Is it a steamroller?
It is. It's a zap
Big
tube.
old
So
steamy
you want to like
girl.
fill like 3/4 of the hole with your finger.
Oh, it was like
If you fill like 3/4 of it, it'll make just the tube. You know, if you just barely cover it,
Like
yeah,
that?
yeah, it'll make like just the line, like the thin line from the dragon's mouth.
Oh, I saw it.
But it can be like just thick, just in the middle, and it's like an air-cooled hit.
That's fucking cool, dude.
It takes a while
That's really
to get it, but when it gets going,
I like that.
That's with the brothers. Brother, this is Wes.
That's
Yeah.
fucking cool.
I remember Steamy's just ripping us apart in high school, hooking up like a gas mask to him.
Now that is cool.
Yeah.
and the modern day dragon is much more protected. You
So what's
can't-
that year?
You can't break it. This this is going to be more like an 08.
Holy
09.
shit.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Holy shit, you
That's
can
a
really
30-year
tell.
difference?
Yeah.
30
Yep.
years.
Yep.
Is
And this
it-
is
is
a
it still
Bob
Bob?
Batchram Snodgrass collab.
Collab.
Which is really cool. You got these cool marbles and it sits firm. It's
Mhm.
a lot more solid. This thing is really fragile, like insanely thin.
What's
It's
the
like a
price?
ship in a bottle.
Is this even appraised or even have a price to it? Or is this
It's not.
It's invaluable now.
you think
You know,
invaluable?
there's people have been through here.
Like, how many Bitcoins
Snod and
do you
Snod
get for it?
family, and people have said crazy like 6-figure numbers for it. I don't know what it's worth. You know, I think it should be in a museum. I think Bob's an artist, and all his shit is just totally magical. You know,
That's always been
even just
that's
like
always
lighting
been
this up
proven.
and smoking on them, it's just straight fire, man. So I don't know. I don't know what the value would be. I'm just stoked I've gotten to shepherd that piece. I got a lot of other cool Snod and
I've
Snod
heard of it,
family
but I haven't
pieces.
seen it in
Um,
almost 20 years.
Let's light this thing up and see how it's doing.
Oh, it does, dude! It really feeds it.
Yeah, that shit looks cool.
That is so cool.
That's the thing, people don't share pipes enough anymore. yeah, if you cover it like 3/4, you don't cover it all the way, you can get like the line in the middle. And if you get the line in the middle, it's so air cooled you can just smoke the whole bowl without feeling anything as far as harshness on your throat. But it's just a cool idea.
I'm back.
Yeah, I hear you. It's so fragile. Make sure it's not burning. Be careful. That's the thing about glass, man. It breaks. It's like part of the beauty
That was
of
the
it.
best thing I ever did.
Yeah, right. It's a good rip.
Yeah, it's
Take a
one of
rip,
those-
you pass it around, or if you guys want to rip it, rip it.
She doesn't
Super
trust
cool.
herself.
It's super cool.
I have one of
Hand me
these.
the red jar,
And
please.
you can put hash in there too.
Thank
I have
you.
one of these sitting in my living room, in my
When I put-
china cabinet.
When I put hash on this one hitter, man, I get so high, like much higher than I do when I
got a
dab
nice
it.
buzz from
Are
that.
you
I don't
talking
smoke
like
flower that
just
much.
cold cure hot rosin?
How hot should I get it? Red hot.
Get it till
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
below
dude, red hot.
The whole,
Like-
almost the whole tip.
like-
Don't go up too high.
Yeah,
just
right
go
here.
under it.
Watch your
Before
finger.
we had thermometers
Sorry.
hot, you know,
Goes for it.
pre-therm hot.
There
Does it
might
have
be
water?
some
Did you put water in it?
No, that's
Now
the
we're gonna
trick.
do a dry hit.
Yeah. If we had a temperature gun, I guarantee you.
We used to have 2 of those
1200 degrees.
at our table at events, and people would line up. It was a
You
great
just
draw
Dip it right in there like it's
because you're
sauce, but be
watching people
careful.
just get annihilated.
It'll go like right up it like a straw. if you don't
Remember how
watch
many
out.
rips we would do?
A couple
We
thousand.
would go through like an entire thing of alcohol, like a box.
Swabs.
Oh, sure, this jar is
You should try some of this shit, Wes. This shit's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Those things are scary to have out
Yeah.
because they're expensive. But they also are fragile for their art. The problem around here, most pipes are clogged because they're always stuffed.
That's how we started doing it.
It's kind of the evolution of it.
Yeah, those are beautiful pieces.
Now you can get these. They're tiny and they're made in China. They're like the hummingbirds.
Yeah.
But this was like the original, like little mini one. And honestly, this hits so nice if you just want like a little morning bedside bub style rip.
Morning Schmeeples.
Yeah, for like 150
Remember
bucks.
the worked ones we
You can't
got
beat
and
it,
to our
man.
girls?
We had really nice heady ones that were colored inside and out, Chad. I don't know if you remember
Yes,
those?
Yes.
Yeah, those were cool. In the beginning, they were putting a lot of love and work into them.
I want it just for sentimental value.
But if you look, there's just the tiniest gap on this. You see that?
This one's
It's like
Yeah, what's the
half
purpose?
an inch or something just to air cool it. But it's
And
like
it probably
really
makes it spill proof
compact.
too, right?
Yeah, that too. But the smoke is so
Oh, I
compacted.
got what you're saying. Yeah.
But it's-
Micah.
it
This
rips.
one's 2017, number 98.
Right.
No, sorry.
I've been trying to
48.
off them for like
48.
500. No one will even take them.
It's hard not to buy it for me because I know what they are. Those are $910
Oh yeah, they were way more back in the day.
without this.
Yeah.
we were
everything
selling
was
them for
way
like
more.
1,500, no problem. I had piles of these, dude.
This is like
Remember the
free
ones that were
Darby,
like frosted green glass?
free to-
But this is the only one you can remove the tip. The other ones are permanent, and I don't like
Yeah,
that.
they're glass on glass.
Yeah.
But this tip, if it gets too hot, will
It breaks
slide
around
off.
the ridge. I know.
It slides off. So
I
you
already
gotta-
had it fixed once.
I had mine fixed too.
Yeah. So that's that.
I love this mouthpiece.
But still, the fact that you can take it off is fucking. I like these tips. That's the thing. I don't like the metal tip.
yeah, you could put one of those. Look, we could do it right now. Or you could switch it.
Like I used to be
Switch
so pimping with this because I could roll
That's what's
around
cool.
anywhere with it
We
and
can
just
interchange
hit
those
out of
right
my
here.
own shit and just be like,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know. Sometimes it gets a little dirty in here,
It
Yeah.
you know,
does.
after a
That's
while.
the only downfall.
So that
Black
that's
out
not
your
cool.
shit.
At home, want to cultivate these genetics that we've been talking about today, these classics, the land races crossed with the new stuff, the 4Zs, the 5Zs. You said the 6Zs is on the way. How
Yeah,
do
man.
people get it?
So hit us up on IG at Lempire Farmaseed or O Genius. And remember, we're at Compassionate Heart in Ukiah and Mendocino, 462-5100. That's 707-462-5100. Just give us a call. We're here every day. We're open and we can get you those seeds. We got great new stuff. A lot of Zkittlez crosses, a lot of Lempire, Lem OG crosses. We're going back to that Pakistani citron hash plant right now. And some super skunk, like that original skunk that just smelled like you got sprayed by a skunk.
Yeah.
So we're on the hunt for the skunk and keeping the classics in rotation. We love that 4Zs around here, man. And we recommend running that. I've been telling everybody that that's the one we've been getting traction with lately. It's just quick, easy, doesn't give you any problems, and that's what people need.
Yeah, that is. Everybody needs easy and good turfs for the head and for the homies.
It's great for the hash makers too.
It is.
And it's just keepers, man. I'm stoked to see people start entering that and let it see it pull some trophies out there.
Let's see some trophies out there. If you guys want to be the next award-winning hash company, stop on through, order those seeds, the Lempire. The Lem's got what you need. Thanks for hosting us here today. We look forward to hopefully doing more events here when the weather gets a little bit better. Maybe some live events. We'll have some people come
Oh yeah,
through.
man. We've had a lot of good music through here.
And if you guys are interested, follow along at home, join the Patreon for uncut, behind-the-scenes access. We will see you next time.